Hello everyone, welcome to Berry Fun Adventures, episode 12. My name is Tanya and I'm coming to you from southeast Minnesota where my family and I run Firefly Berries, which is a fruit farm that specializes in strawberries, Concord grapes, and naturally dyed yarn. So hello, welcome back to the podcast if you're returning, and if you are new, thanks for checking me out. And I hope you all have been well since I've come to you last. It has been busy here at our farm with the spring changing, the winter changing into spring. However, 2 days ago, we got about 5 inches of snow. So we're back inside now, not doing much outside. But we were pruning grapes and we had gotten about 3/4 of our rows done. So we have 640 grapevines for those of you who don't visit our farm or haven't heard me talk about that before. So we probably got about 450 or so of them done. So it goes much faster now that we have 4 boys helping us who are old enough to help us. When we first moved in 10 years ago, it took us about 3 or 4 weeks because it was mostly just me doing the pruning. So I am very appreciative of the help that we have gotten as the boys have grown. So anyway, I'm not here to chat with you just about what's going on the farm, but also to tell you about what I've been making. So let's get right into it today. Let's start with what I'm wearing. I am wearing, first of all, this is the Beach Days shawl, and it is by Tracy Miller. So it is a rectangular, long, I guess you'd call it more of a wrap than a shawl, but I guess I call it a shawl. And it has 3 colors in it. I believe I will link the project page below. I believe this is a farmer's daughter's color. It's not sure, it's really kind of blowing out. It's sort of a pale yellow color. And then I have I'm forgetting. This purple is a yak. When I went, my husband, prior to COVID, he traveled a lot for work, and one of the main places he goes for his work is Austin, Texas. So the yellow and the purple I purchased while I was there with him, and so I don't remember exactly and I made this a little while ago, so I don't remember the dyers, but it will be on my project page. And then the variegated purple here with the gold in it is a Malabrigo fingering weight. So it's super soft and I like it. It kind of, sometimes I wear it over my shoulders like I had before, and sometimes I kind of just do like this, or I just wrap it around, and then it has a good length to it. So, and then the top I'm wearing, before I sit back down, this is the lounging top by Joji Locatelli, and it is a sleeveless top. This one I did in the fingering weight pattern. I believe she also has a sport weight version of it as well, but it calls for either fingering or sport weight. I chose to hold mohair double because I knit very loosely, and then I can get gauge at fingering with a mohair and a fingering held double. So it is knit with, I believe, a Malabrigo from another adventure that I purchased on another adventure with my husband, and some very fun yarns, mohair silk lace. So I like it a lot. It keeps me very warm. And on my feet, you can't see, but I have to mention them. I am wearing my favorite socks, which happen to be the socks I knit kind of in the middle of this pandemic. And they are made in a yarn by Stranded, which is Amy over in Scotland now. And I'll put a picture on the thing, on the screen, so I don't have to show you my leg, but they are super warm. I love the base. It's a BFL base, a Blueface Leicester base, which is still super soft but very durable, and I just love how they fit. So yeah, so that's what I'm wearing today. I do not have any finished objects to share with you. It's not that I haven't been knitting or crocheting, it's just that I have quite a few projects that either I cast on all at the same time, or they're just larger projects. So I have been working on them and have been making progress, just not any finished objects. So let me show you what I have worked most on in the last week and a half or so. So I have been working on these. These are just some simple vanilla socks out of Patton's Croy yarn. And I like Patton's Croy because it is very durable, so it's good for gift knitting. It's also good for teenage boys who are really kind of rough on their socks. So anyway, I had cast these on a while ago, and I was going to give them as a gift for a friend for a Yamiha, which is our Baha'i gift-giving celebration that happens at the end of February. But I didn't finish them in time, and instead of stressing about that, I just decided, well, I'm just going to wait and I'll save them for next year and send something else this year. Well, in the end, I decided that these are going to be for my oldest son because I kind of messed him up. I had when knitting attacks, as Gigi and Jasmine of the Knit Girls like to say. So if you look closely at that cuff, you will see this one, I did a knit 3 purl 1, and this one I did a knit 2 purl 2. I don't know why. I almost always do a knit 3 purl 1 because I find it stretchier than the knit 2 purl 2, and obviously if you look at this you can see how much bigger this one is versus this one. So that's what made me realize when I had gotten maybe down to here and I was like, why does this look so much smaller than this one? Oh well, my son won't care, and I don't even know if I'd have sent them to my friend if he would have even noticed either, because he and his wife, neither of them knit, so I don't know that they would have even really noticed, but I just don't like sending gifts away if I don't think they're of high enough quality. Anyway, so I knit the whole first sock, and what I am doing, so it looks kind of stripy. It's not because the yarn is stripy. Like I said, it's Patton's Croy, but I had received, I think I had gotten it from someone who was destashing, and I had these 3 skeins, and this is what's left of them. This one's got kind of more of an orangey green and yellow, and this one, you can't really see it, but it had some, they look very similar, and maybe they were the same color, I don't know, but one of them did not have a label on it, so I wasn't sure exactly. I knew it kind of felt like Patton's Croy, but I wasn't sure of the yardage and all that jazz. And then I had, so I'm alternating these two in the leg and the foot. Every 2 rows I switch, and I am not breaking the yarn. I am just carrying it, let me show you. I'm just carrying it on the inside. You can kind of see where I kind of was weaving it in as I went. And then I am using this one, Patton's Croy. This one did have a label. It is labeled as Cadet Colors, Patton Croy Socks FX. So the balls are only 50-gram balls, which it says on here they are, I think I saw, 166 yards. So it's it's almost like a sport weight sock, I would say, because that would be about 328. That's about what my Very Fun Yarn sport weight is. So it's a thicker yarn, which is also another reason why I didn't want to just rely on 2, because I wanted to make, excuse me, I wanted to make a long enough cuff. So anyway, all that to say, I knit the cuff, the leg, I did a heel flap in gusset heel, and then I also did the toe in the blue. And so now I'm on my second one. I passed the heel, and the colors now are really kind of vibrant, and I randomly picked them up from the skein, so it's just happening. But you see how that's really vibrant, how this one is really green, and then there's a really orange one. So anyway, and I did weigh, I had this one, the one with the little ball that I have left. I don't think it was a full complete skein. If it was, because this one feels like it has more in, and this one I know was a complete skein because it had the label on yet. So I actually, at the end of my first sock, I don't know if you can really see it, but I realized that one skein was getting kind of small, so I weighed it, and I stopped at 25 grams, which would have been half, and then I just knit the remainder in the other one. So who knows what will happen at the end of this one when I get to the end. Maybe it will look the same, maybe it'll be a little different, but I don't think my son will even notice. So those will no longer be out of the family gift socks. They will just be for my son. So that's the Pat and Croy socks. And then I really only worked on one other project that I had started before. I haven't really been working on my Fade Neve sweater. Maybe some of you, if you've watched previous episodes, you'll remember me talking about that one. I was really far. I'm on the sleeve, but I'm on Sleeve Island, and I'm just not excited to knit the sleeves, mostly because I think it has a lot of bobbles, and the bobbles were a lot of fun initially, but now I'm on the sleeves and I'm like, I just want to knit. I just want to be done. So I think I'm kind of like, I don't know, I would say like I'm at 3/4 length on the first sleeve. So I have a little ways to go. I haven't the last couple days, but I had been pulling it out and knitting like, I don't know, 10 rounds, because every 10 rounds you do a bobble round. So I thought, well, if I just knit 10 rounds every day, eventually I will get it. So maybe I will try to do that again, because I really want to wear this sweater. It's in a DK weight, and I'm sure it will be great for spring here in Minnesota. But alas, I was just not interested and not wanting to do anything I didn't want to do, because I'm the boss of my knitting. So here's this other project. This is a crochet project, and I have been showing this quite a bit, but I have been working on it a lot. In fact, this is my corner to corner crochet blanket, and this is where I left off when I was with you last time. And my rows are super long now. I think, well, I stopped decreasing on one side. So you can see here, this is my reminder that this is the decrease side. So it's going to be a rectangle, and I will say again, I had a bit of a knitting attack. I don't know. It's a potential knitting attack, let's just say. But I was crocheting it. I guess it's a crochet attack, not a knitting attack. I was crocheting it, and I was like, wow, this is just really big. This is bigger than I imagined. I was imagining twin size. Well, when I got my dimensions and did my math at the beginning of the corner to corner blanket, I took the dimensions from a twin size comforter, which has a 12-inch drop all the way around it. So it's like a twin size bed plus 24 inches on either side, which is a lot more crocheting and a lot bigger than just like a throw blanket you'd put over the top of your blanket. Put over the top of your bed when you're sleeping, right? I mean, you could have a comforter, but you don't really need to have comforter size to put it on top of your bed to keep warm. So anyway, I decided that it was going to be too huge, and I wanted to make it closer to just the size of a twin size mattress. So again, I am not a math person. For those of you who have watched my episodes before, I'm not a math person, so I enlisted the help of my husband. And to be completely honest, I don't know that I could explain it to you with any great coherency of how we got to where we got, with how many little square things that I am doing now. But with his help, we figured out some area of how much I did and how much I need, and I don't know, it was sort of like magic. At the time, it made perfect sense to me, but right now, trying to like recall it, not so much. Anyway, before I was knitting 35 of these little snippets, little bits, little square things, or not knitting, crocheting for each day. So if you haven't watched previous podcasts, this is a corner to corner crochet temperature blanket. So I am crocheting, here it is. So for each day of the year, this is for my oldest son for the year that he was born. He's turning 18 this year. I wrote down all the temperatures, and each temperature for each day there's a different color of yarn I'm using. So here's my chart, and each color has about 8 degrees. So we live in Minnesota, we get below 0 and we get up to 100 degrees. So I think it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14 different colors that I am using. So anyway, I was previously, when I was going to do the larger size, doing 35 of the little corner to corner, my hair there, crochet things in my blanket. I don't know, I call them little squares. There probably is a better technical term for them. I don't know. I was doing 35, but now with the new math, we decided that I need to do 29. So I'm really hoping that the math is correct. And 29 to 35 wasn't so much that it looks totally different. It doesn't, and he's not going to notice. So I'm just going to go with it and not fret about it too much. It doesn't have to be exact. So maybe I messed up the math a little and it ends up being 11 months of his first life instead of 12 months. So be it. It's not the end of the world. Or maybe I end up having to go into the first year, like into month 13. I'm just not stressing about it. I'm just making it the size that I want to make it. So anyway, that was a lot of yibber yabber about it, but I am... Where's my little doodad? I was a good girl though since last time, and I wove in all my ends up until this point anyway. But so there is the marker where I left off. So I've done a good chunk. So it is about, I want to say it's about 50 inches wide so far. That is where I stopped to turn the corner, 50-ish. And then it will go the length, which I think is closer to 80. Maybe it's 75, something like that. So yeah, so once I get the length, how long I want it, then I will start decreasing from both sides. It's a really fun pattern, and like I said, I have been spending quite a bit of time on it, which is why it's just very kind of mindless. In fact, I tried to pick up my granny stripe crochet blanket, and I did do a little bit on that, but I'll show you that next time. And I was crocheting the pattern of the corner to corner crochet blanket into my granny stripe one, and I had to rip out a whole row. It was really irritating. So it's just sort of mindless, meditative, fun crocheting when I am feeling a little overwhelmed, or I just don't want to think when I am making a project. So anyway, those were the two main projects that I worked on as far as projects that had already been cast on. I did cast on one new project, and I have been wanting to cast this one on for a while. In fact, in the Zombie Knitting Network, which is an opportunity that Megan and Amy of the Stockinette Zombies have, it's a social network where you go online and they have events and they have speakers. It's all through Zoom. And there's the Zombie Knitpocalypse Retreat, which is happening in June. We have teams, and then we have challenges, and you get points for your team. It's like a knit-along challenge. And I had volunteered to, the challenge for March and April was to twin with somebody, which basically means that you both knit the same pattern, or you use the same yarn. It could be the same dyer, it could be the same colorway. Well, I have been wanting to knit this pattern for a while, so I volunteered to twin on the Musselburgh hat, which is by Isolde Teague. And I am probably saying that wrong because it is I think the name is a city in Scotland, and I do not have a Scottish accent. But anyway, this is the pattern. Musselburgh. I have no idea. Musselburgh is what I'm going to say it. And it says on the pattern page, it was inspired by a World War II era pattern for a fatigue cap. Well, what's cool about this one is that it is like a long tube. So just like when you make a cowl, and if you make a cowl where you knit in the round like a circle, and then it's doubled, so it'd be like this, like if you had two doubled and you knit in the round like a big sock. That's sort of the same thing of how the construction of this hat is. You start at the top, and then you increase to a certain point, and then you just knit, and then you decrease. And then you squish, you take the one end and you put it inside the other end so it's double the thickness. Otherwise it's just a simple hat. So I am knitting it in fingering weight yarn. However, the pattern is really awesome because what she has you do is she has you simply start with needles you think would work for the weight of yarn you're using, and then she has a chart where she helps you figure out your gauge, and then based on your gauge she tells you how many stitches to have in your hat. So you can use fingering all the way up to, a thick worsted weight, I think, or an Aran weight. So I am using fingering, and this is something I actually just cast on today because I said to myself, you know what? You're going to record a podcast today. You need to put on your big girl panties and you need to figure out how to do this cast on. Because I have never done a top-down hat before with this sort of cast on. I know, crazy, huh? I've always wanted to, but in 10 years, 11 years, whatever it's been, I have never done it. So this is how far I've gotten. It is sort of a gray-blue color, and this is a fun little stitch marker. Can you see that there? It's like thongs or flip-flops on one side, and then on the back it says made with heart and soul, S-O-L-E. I'm going to be having these in the shop, in my online shop soon, in a summer themed kit, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But anyway, so the cast on is called, let's see, I wrote it down, it's in here. I used the I-cord belly button cast on, which it really wasn't that complicated when I actually tried it. I messed it up the first time, but the second time I got it. The thing that was weird to me, of course, is that I'd never done it before. It was a new technique. And so this is my in the classroom today too. I decided to share a new knitting technique with you because I was in the classroom myself learning this new knitting technique. So what you do basically, so online there were some instructions, and I will link the instructions that I used below. But this is my I-cord that has fallen off, which is why they call it, I believe, the belly button I-cord cast on, because you use waste yarn to start and then you unpick it just like a dried belly button falls off when you have a little baby, and then you simply thread the waste yarn into the loose stitches and you pull it tight so you have the top of your hat. So anyway, you cast on 8 stitches in this case. It's an 8-stitch cast on, but whatever your pattern says, you cast it on, and then you knit like an I-cord for so many rows. And then you end up doing, you kind of fold your, I don't know if you can see this, but it's like folded in half. You fold your project, your I-cord in half, and then they show you how to do the I-cord when it's folded in half. And then you get to a certain length and you drop the scrap yarn, waste yarn, and you start knitting with your regular yarn. So I am knitting, I think one of the smallest, if not the smallest gauge, because it's fingering, and I'm using a size 2 needle, US size 2 needle. And I'm still in the increases, but the yarn that I am using is very, very old stash, because I guess I have older stash, but this is one of the first skeins I ever dyed when I started to experiment with natural dyes. Let's see if you can see. It's actually a really pretty color. It's sort of a grayish brown with hints of blue in it. But I actually, what's kind of fun about this skein is that I dyed it, I was experimenting with flowers, and I ordered some dried hibiscus. So hibiscus flowers that are like that deep, dark red purple. So we're phasing into in the pots here too now. But that deep, dark, reddish purple, they create this kind of blue color. And I had no idea how many hibiscus flowers you need for a skein of yarn. Well, I just ordered a fairly small amount, but it was still fairly expensive when you consider it only gave me 1 skein of yarn. So I learned after buying that if I was going to use flowers to dye my own yarn, that I had to grow the flowers myself, because it would not be cost effective to purchase large volumes of dried flowers to create yarn to sell. So this was such a precious skein that I decided I wasn't selling it, and I kept it for myself. And I have been keeping it for a while, thinking I was going to make it into socks, because it is on the Berry Fun Yarns Berry Tough Sock base, which is an 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. So it's a durable sock weight. But I saw it and I thought, oh, that's a really, I think this pattern will do well with not, I mean, I'm sure it would be fine with a highly variegated. It could be whatever your style is. But for me, I was wanting something that was not super highly variegated, that wasn't going to have huge flashing and pooling. And I'm hoping that this is a good choice. So that's what that is. So yeah, so I have cast this on and I'm excited now. It's really pretty easy, the pattern. It's a paid for pattern on Ravelry. So I'm not going to give you any details really, but just to say that once I got through that cast on that I wasn't familiar with, super straightforward and easy. The pattern is well written and easy to follow. So I'm looking forward to this being kind of my knitting when I don't want to do socks, when I am hanging out with my sons, you know, doing school, or sometimes we play games and you have to wait your turn in between, so I will knit in between. But that is the Musselburgh hat by Ysolda Teague. So that is it for works in progress. I shared that in the classroom with the new cast on, the I-cord belly button cast on. Go check that out if you want to learn to knit a hat from the top down. So in the pots, just have two sections left to share with you. In the pots, or in the Berry Fun Yarns office, I guess we'll kind of call that together, I have been so busy. I got my new spin dryer last week and it works like a charm. I don't know why I waited so long to get it. It made my life so much easier. But last weekend I spent both Saturday and Sunday updating the website, making it a little more streamlined and easy for you to navigate. For those of you who know me as Berry Fun Yarns first and Firefly Berries second, it can be confusing, or it was confusing when you went to the front page of our website, because it looks like we are a farm, because we are a farm. And Berry Fun Yarns is just one part of our products that we grow and sell and create. So I fixed the front page a little bit and I added some new menus to make it easier, more streamlined. I updated my logo. I have a new logo that will kind of phase in. I don't want to waste business cards and all that jazz. So I will try to use up some of my other things first. But I have a new logo that I actually drew and created myself, which is on the yarn page. So I spent some time doing that. And then I also was making some things. So this, I guess, is sort of a finished project. I will now be carrying, I fell in love recently with making stitch markers and progress keepers. And I have made them before, but I have just been really enjoying them. So I decided our local farmers market now allows us to sell craft items that aren't grown by you personally at the market. So I have another place to sell them, but I am offering them online as well. But I'm going to be offering some, what I like to call yarn jewelry. And they will be, right now anyway, they are packs of 10 simple beaded stitch markers with 3 progress keepers in them. So here's kind of what they look like. This is a dragonfly one with some blues and greens. So these stitch markers here, they're just very simple rings with beads on them, and they work on needles sizes US 7 or below. So there's a dragonfly one. I'm going to have lots of different themes, but here's a few of the ones that are in the shop right now. This is a camping one, if you like to camp. Let's see what else I brought over here. Oh, we've got a really fun, I like this one. This is a gardening one. I love this metal rake here. It's so pretty. And this says grow on one side, but when you flip it over, it also has a picture of a flower. So the gardening ones, and I have them in different colors too. There's this gardening one has more fall jewel tone stitch markers that go with it. And I think that's it. I have a few more. Oh, let's see. I have a few more dragonfly ones. These are pink. They're a little different. So it's 2 dragonflies, and then it says made with love. This one is another one. And the other pack that I don't have done yet because I'm not quite finished gluing them and setting them was the ones that I showed you with the little thongs or flip-flops, whatever you call them, depending on where you are in the world. And that will be a summer themed one. So I will have lots of different themed ones, and they'll be pretty inexpensive for you to purchase to have some pretty things on your projects, because that's one thing I really love. I love simple stitch markers. So I make the little beaded ones for myself because they just move really easily. They're not too dangly as stitch markers, but then I do like the progress keepers that are kind of fun and cute, but not super expensive like some of the handmade ones are, which are beautiful, but they can get pricey if you get a lot of them. And then I always worry that I will actually lose them, and that makes me feel kind of bummed. So yeah, so yarn jewelry is now available in the online shop, as well as ChiaoGoo Needles. I have become a wholesaler of ChiaoGoo Needles. So right now, ChiaoGoo is known for their bamboo. However, they also have some very nice stainless steel ones. The red lace stainless steel are the ones that I chose to carry because I think the cords are nicer. They actually swivel inside the, I don't know if you call it the findings or the connector area, to make it easier when you're doing projects so they don't get all twisty. So right now you'll find, I started off with a minimal amount of sizes. I did a little survey with my customers, seeing which size length they prefer, which style they prefer. So mostly right now in the shop I have fixed circular needles in both the bamboo and the red lace stainless steel. And I'm only at the moment carrying up to sizes 7 or 8, I believe. And I think I have the 16-inch cord and the 40-inch cord. So if you're looking for something and you don't see it and you don't mind waiting a little bit, just let me know, because I will be placing more orders. I just wanted to start small and not have a huge inventory, because it can add up really fast to have, you think about there's 9-inch and 16-inch and 24-inch and 32-inch and 40-inch, and it just goes on, so, and then there's 0 and 1 and 2 and 3 and all the sizes. So it was kind of hard to pick, but this is where I'm starting, so check it out. And if you have suggestions or requests, please let me know. And there's also, on top of the needles, there are a couple circular needle cases in the shop as well, which actually I have one right here. I have one of my own. I bought one for myself. And on the outside, it's a nice fabric, and there's a little zipper pouch here for you to put like your notions and things in, or little scissors. And then inside it's all labeled with the different needles, and it goes from size 1 to size 15. So yeah, so there's 16 different little pouches to put them in there. So those are some fun new options that are now available in the shop. And then the last thing that I want to tell you about Very Fun Yarns and in the Pots is a new exciting collaboration that I'm doing with my 9-year-old son Lincoln, and we are calling them Lincoln's Littles, and they will be 20-gram mini sets, and there will be 7 20-gram mini skeins in each set. During the pandemic, his reading has really taken off, and he's gotten involved in all kinds of books. A lot of them are classics, and some of his favorites right now are like the Wizard of Oz series, or he got involved a little bit with Roald Dahl for a long time. So anyway, what we decided to do, because he really likes to dye yarn with me and he likes to do the mini skeins, is that he and I are going to work together to do a mini skein sets based on stories that he loves or he's reading. And some of the colors will be, I think, what you would think of, but also I am trying really hard to let him use his imagination, because he didn't see movies. Like, for instance, the first one we're doing is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and he was in a dance production of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, as well as he read the book and we saw the movie. But he also has his own ideas in his head, certain scenes that he remembers more, certain colors he remembers more. So we actually sat down last weekend and we brainstormed together what we'd like to do for the first set, and he had some really great ideas. So I am super excited to do that with him, and hopefully the first Lincoln's Little set will come out not in the not too distant future. We are going to start making them this Friday with art class. So he does art with me on Friday, so I told him we could do them as part of art class, and then we'll do them on the weekend as well. So we will start out with those, and we'll probably have a limited number this first go round, but if they prove to be very popular, I'm hoping that we can replicate them. I will be taking notes as we dye together. So anyway, yeah, that's super exciting. It's going to be fun. It was fun for me to just have someone to discuss the colors and which things go with which, or how we could make it variegated or fully saturated, and he was having a blast. So that is that. And then the very last thing I want to share with you is just a really quick recipe for in the kitchen. I think I've mentioned this before when we've talked about in the kitchen, but our family, 4 boys, my husband and I, and everyone except my husband is gluten-free. My 16-year-old son, Ian, is also a vegan for the most part. He'll eat eggs occasionally in things if he wants to, like if we're going somewhere and there's a family outing, he doesn't get too upset about it. But for the most part, he is vegan. He's been trying to figure out a really good recipe for bread that does not have eggs in it and is not have gluten in it. So my husband typically has made us this gluten-free bread that we all thought was pretty decent, and it was. The only thing is that sometimes it gets kind of dry and crumbly because there isn't gluten in it. So that was the bummer. But we had tried other recipes and hadn't really had much success with it. Well, Ian came across this recipe that's vegan and gluten-free, and it is awesome. It is the closest thing that I have had to real bread since I became gluten-free, which was almost 11 years ago when I found out I was allergic. And back then, I had to go to a place called the Gluten-Free Cupboard because it wasn't common to carry gluten-free foods in mainstream grocery stores. So we've come a long way, obviously, but anyone who's ever tried to eat gluten-free bread knows that it kind of tastes disgusting. It doesn't often have the right texture. It works, but it's not something that you want to eat the moment it comes out of the oven and put butter or oil on or turn into a sandwich always. So like the previous bread that my husband was making us, once it was like you could eat it fresh for like a day, but then you'd have to freeze it and toast it. This bread is so soft. So it is made with a little bit of almond flour, and then it has quite a bit of starch in it. I believe it has tapioca starch, potato flour, or potato starch. I think he said it has chia seed eggs. I can't remember, but I will link the recipe below. So if any of you are vegan or vegan and gluten-free and you want something that tastes good and doesn't fall apart on you, it's an awesome recipe. So that is my in the kitchen recipe for you. I think that's it. I don't have anything else that I can think of to share. It has been a good week and a half. We've been busy. I've gotten lots of stuff done online. And if you have any questions about anything on our website or with Berry Fun Yarns, please let me know. Oh, and thank you once again for those who purchased yarn during my spring cleaning sale. It was great to get some of those skeins out to y'all, and also to be able to invest that back into more yarn and fun ideas that are coming for the future. So until next time, wherever you are, I hope you are well and healthy and enjoying your projects, whatever they are, be they crochet or knitting, or maybe just cooking in the kitchen. And I will see you hopefully in another week to week and a half. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.